Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Thursday, November 3rd, 2022. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with new information on the investigation of former WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon. WWE's Special Committee investigation into allegations of wrongdoing against McMahon and former head of talent relations John Laurinaitis has concluded, according to a statement made by WWE President and Chief Financial Officer Frank Riddick during yesterday's third quarter earnings call.
As we previously disclosed, a special committee consisting of the independent members of the board of directors was formed to conduct an investigation into alleged misconduct by Vince McMahon, who has resigned, and another executive who has left the company. The special committee investigation is now complete, and the special committee has been disbanded. Management is working with the board to implement the recommendations of the special committee related to the investigation.
Riddick indicated that further costs related to the investigations are expected to be incurred by the company. McMahon has agreed to pay certain related costs not covered by insurance. In an SEC filing made yesterday in conjunction with the Quarter 3 earnings report, McMahon and the investigation were further addressed, and it was made clear that WWE, quote, has received and may receive in the future regulatory, investigative, and enforcement inquiries, subpoenas, or demands arising from, related to, or in connection with these matters, unquote. It was also pointed out that although McMahon has resigned from his positions within the company, he remains a stockholder with controlling interest who, quote, can effectively exercise control over our affairs, unquote. The filing included warnings that the recent investigation could have an adverse effect on WWE's financial performance and that McMahon's resignation could negatively impact the creation of successful characters and storylines as well as other operating results. The announcements were made in conjunction with WWE's release of their 2022 third quarter financial report. The company's revenue for quarter 3 was up 19% to $304.6 million, with operating income of $58.9 million, down 8% according to the report. Now with a look at AEW Dynamite last night on TBS, here's the Wrestling News' Lou Kipilman.
Dynamite, broadcast live last night on TBS from the Chesapeake Employers Insurance Arena in Baltimore, featured surprise appearances by Jeff Jarrett, who attacked Darby Allin after Allin's opening match lost to Jay Lethal, and by Colt Cabana, who challenged Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor World title. Jarrett, who earlier this year wrestled in the main event of the Ric Flair's Last Match pay-per-view, and was also briefly WWE Senior Vice President of Live Events, made his AEW debut by hitting Allin over the head with his trademark guitar. After the show, Tony Khan announced on Twitter that Jarrett had been brought on as AEW's new Director of Business Development. Later on in the program, Chris Jericho successfully defended the Ring of Honor World title against Colt Cabana, who hadn't appeared on Dynamite in nearly a year. Cabana's appearance was unannounced, with Jericho merely having issued an open challenge to any former ROH title holder. Cabana had only made 3 Dynamite appearances since the August 2021 debut of CM Punk, before being quietly removed from the show, with Khan publicly denying rumors that Cabana's removal had been done to appease Punk, who was sued by Cabana in 2019 for refusing to pay Cabana's legal fees, arising from a defamation lawsuit filed against both of them by WWE Dr. Christopher Amon in 2014. Cabana was heavily criticized by Punk during the all-out media scrum in September, which eventually led to a backstage altercation later that night with AEW Executive Vice Presidents Kenny Omega and Nick and Matt Jackson of the Young Bucks, who had previously defended Cabana on their YouTube show Being the Elite. Since the altercation and its ensuing investigation, and following a lengthy suspension for all parties, Punk is reported to be leaving AEW with a contract buyout, while Omega and the Bucks are scheduled to return to AEW TV. In other Dynamite results from last night, AEW World Champion Jon Moxley defeated Lee Moriarty via submission in a World Title Eliminator match, And Samoa Joe successfully defended the Ring of Honor World TV title against Brian Cage in the main event. Joe was attacked by Cage's partners in the Embassy faction after the match, causing Wardlow to hit the ring to make the save, only to be put down with a spine buster from Powerhouse Hobbs, who held Wardlow's TNT title belt aloft to end the broadcast. Also on the show, TBS champion Jade Cargill extended her undefeated record to 41-0 with a win over Marina Shafir, and Orange Cassidy retained the All-Atlantic title in a three-way match with Luchasaurus and Rey Fenix. Following the match, New Japan Pro Wrestling's Katsuyori Shibata made a surprise appearance and signed a contract to face Cassidy for the title tomorrow night on Rampage. Dynamite also featured a pre-taped vignette teasing the return of Malachi Black, who has not been seen in AEW in 2 months. During an Instagram live post this past September, Black said that he requested his release from the company, but later walked that statement back. For the wrestling news, I'm Lou Kipilman.
In ratings news, NXT's post-Halloween episode Tuesday night live on the USA Network experienced a slight drop in viewership from last week, bringing in an average of 670,000 viewers, according to Showbuzz Daily, down 46,000 from last week. The show attracted 170,000 viewers in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic, according to WrestleNomics, good for a .13 rating and down 26,000 viewers from last week. In Canada, according to Post Wrestling, NXT didn't air live over the air on Rogers Sportsnet 360. Instead, it was relegated to the streaming service Sportsnet Now. When the program did air on delay at midnight, it averaged approximately 20,000 viewers, with 4,000 of them in the 25 to 54-year-old demographic. In injury news, AAA Mega Champion El Hijo del Vikingo revealed via Instagram that he'll be out of action for 3 weeks after sustaining a dislocated elbow during his match on AAA's Halloween show at the Tlaxcala Fair Arena in Tlaxcala, Mexico. The highly regarded Vikingo announced recently that he's received a working visa to compete in the United States. AAA also announced on Wednesday that Laredo Kid has been discharged from the hospital after undergoing successful surgery for a ruptured intestine on October 24th. The statement noted that the 35-year-old luchador's condition has improved and he's going through rehabilitation. Laredo Kid wrestled 2 matches during AAA's Show Center tournament on October 23rd in San Pedro Garza Garcia, Nuevo Leon, Mexico. He first won a 3-way match, which led to a one-on-one non-title match against El Hijo del Vikingo, where he also came out victorious. In streaming news, WWE has announced a new media partnership with African broadcasting company MultiChoice, in which MultiChoice's streaming platform Showmax will become the exclusive home of WWE Network in sub-Saharan Africa. Showmax, Africa's leading streaming service, will offer all WWE Premium Live events, as well as WWE Network's entire library of classic and original content. In September, WWE and its Australian partner Foxtel reached a deal to restructure its current broadcast agreement, which puts their business model more on par with how the company currently operates in the United States with Peacock. Also mentioned in the announcement was South African-based broadcast network SuperSport, which has signed a multi-year extension to continue carrying live episodes of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT on a weekly basis. Said WWE Senior Vice President of International Matt Drew in the announcement, quote, Showmax Pro is the market leader and a perfect home for WWE content. By delivering our premium live events, including WrestleMania, we believe this partnership will expand our audience and deliver even more to WWE fans throughout the region, unquote. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the wrestling news 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the wrestling news. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.